So one thing I want to talk about is attachment. I just became inspired to talk about attachment and how attachment to what is one of the ways that we get stuck and we get trapped in egoic consciousness. You can see the leaves falling, so it's fall. I think my last video, it was the color, the leaves were just starting to change, but you could see how some of the trees I could see them behind. There's hardly any leaves anymore. That tree right there, no leaves on it, and so it's a beautiful. I don't have a gimbal, so the camera's a little shakier today. But look at this tree right here. You could see some of the leaves falling. Let's see. Whoa, there it fell right there. This tree, the leaves are falling. So the leaves represent just falling away. They're no longer attached. Right? They're no longer attached to the tree. See this tree right here? Oh, I got the sun in the background. Of course, when I come next to it, the wind dies down and there's no more leaves falling off the tree. Oh, there's a little leaf right there. So, but you could see all the leaves on the ground right there. Right there and there. So attachment. So what are you attached to? It's almost as if we're being attached to things is something that we naturally have to go through, right? I'm attached to this way of thinking. I'm attached to these beliefs. I'm attached to this should be happening, right? And I think I mentioned in videos before, when I'm walking around in nature, is that nature is a beautiful spiritual tool. If you just contemplate and use nature and see how effortlessly the leaves have right, the leaves turn colors, right, and then the leaves fall off the tree. They're not attached to it. And then when you give up attachment, you allow presence. You allow truth to reveal itself, right? So where you could see, I don't know if you could see that, but there's Santa Claus on top of the chimney right now. It's late November here in Chicago. It's It's a little warmer day. Oh, there's reindeer. Let's see, I know there's sun in the shot, but there's reindeer. Attachment. It's almost like we are children. We are still children who are, even though we're adults, we're still children because we're still attached to stories. We're still attached to beliefs that aren't really true, like Santa Claus, right? Like, as kids, oh, here's some leaves falling. You can see the leaves falling. Ah, the leaves are falling. They're just, I'm not attached, no longer attached to this belief, no longer attached to that belief, no longer attached to this ideology or person or belief, and I'm just see the leaves flowing with the wind, just going with the now, like driftwood. It's almost like just the grasping of attachment. So it's like Santa Claus. It's like these beliefs. Here's some pumpkins left out from Halloween. So we're sort of in that in between Halloween and Thanksgiving. So those stories, the stories that we have, stories. I remember as a kid when we believed in Santa Claus, we believed, and we were so attached to it. And it's a beautiful thing, and it's a beautiful myth. Except the idea he knows if you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake, or you'll get coal, right, in your stocking, right? But it's the stories, the myth, the stories of our childhood, that we believed things were real. We believed that Santa Claus was real, and you picture Santa Claus, on a sleigh, and the reindeer, traveling to house, going through the chimney, right? And how we were attached to it. We were attached to it, and then Christmas, when you wake up and the presents were there, and we were attached to that whole thing, that whole ritual. And I'm not saying there's anything bad with that, and there's much beauty in it, on a variety of levels, from the parent, doing the things for the kids, to it's a family ritual, blah 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 blah. But as we mature and we go into the spiritual realm, we need to give up the stories, give up the attachment, the stories of how this is how my life should be. And I definitely have suffered immensely with, oh, this is how my life should be. My life should be this way. Radical acceptance. Oh, thought there was a squirrel. Radical acceptance. Not being attached, coming up to a street here. Let these people go by. Yeah, so attachment. See, do a walking meditation. Do a, or just when you're out and about, just see what your beingness or your ego, let's say your ego, see what your ego is attached to. See the thoughts in your mind going, I'm attached to this idea. There's a lot of, there's a lot of politics going on in our country right now, and it has been for a little while, and there's a lot of attachment to political views, right? And I'm not saying getting involved in politics is necessarily bad or you shouldn't do, but you can become, it feeds the ego. I'm right, they're wrong. There's no healing. The healing begins with yourself. There's a sign over here that I just want to go to. It says slow down. So slow down in the street. It's for please slow down. There's a sign right there. It says slow down. There's another one over there, slow down. And it's for the cars, obviously, because children are playing on the street. They're playing around here. And but it's a great sign for to slow down. Slow down. It's hard to become non-attached if we're always rushing around. If our mind is always I think workaholism is almost like an addiction, and I think most of us are that way, is the busyness, is because it feeds the ego. It's like we're attached to, opening up our emails, going on social media, having this opinion, being attached to this point of view, and I have to share or bully or be right or berate others who don't agree with me, right? It's because you're attached. And it's an ego death when we give up attachment. Because there's something in we become addicted and identified with certain points of view that we have, that they become us, right? We almost on a biological level, right? Biological level. Almost on the biological level. We become attached. See, there's a sign, it says a bank and trust. It's like trust. we don't giving up attachment actually brings a level of trust, because we're no longer letting the ego run the show, right? Because who am I without these attachments, these beliefs? You're just pure being, your beingness. And it's scary at first. I totally understand giving up beliefs, attachments to beliefs. I know when I first started doing it and just being present and watching my thoughts, giving up certain attachments, even attachments or beliefs about spirituality, right? Like this person, or like the definition of what spirituality is. This is what a spiritual person should be acting like. This is, that we have this image of how spiritual people should be acting. Wearing robes, and so you get attached to that. But give up all attachments. That's what this video is about today. Recognize. So one of the ways to heal attachments is to recognize that you have attachments. It's sort of like, I think the awareness that one has attachments is the beginning. It's like with any addiction, because being attachment to things is an addiction. I'm trying to block the sun from my the sun with my head, but my hand's getting cold, so I gotta switch it. Yeah, having an addiction, one of the first ways of to healing it is you have to admit that one has an addiction. And so admitting that one is attached to beliefs, stories, people, ways of living, right? Political views, religious views. And this could be upsetting to some out there, but this could be liberating to others, is that even adults who have these beliefs and strong attachment to certain stories don't realize that from the big picture point of view, is that those stories, it's like you're believing in Santa. You're believing in Santa because it's keeping you asleep. All these stories and attachments, these beliefs, keeping you asleep. And you're like across the street. You see you're like kids. You're like children. You're still like children. And that's okay. I mean, I was a child until I don't know, my mid 30s when I started having my awakening, and then and still a child, still acting like a child, having it, integrating it and growing from it, and I could still act like a child in a fun way, but not in a, I know what's real and what's not real. I know that these stories are not real. They're just stories. It's just part of the dream. And when the mind starts coming in and saying, wow, well, here I'm in a city street, there's construction going on behind me, this is not a nice retreat center in nature. This has a grittiness to it. This is the stories of that. This there's nothing spiritual about this. Well, spoiler alert, everything in every now moment is spiritual. Everything. Everything is God. Everything is a part of Source. Everything is Source. Oh, there's a great sign right up here. Let's see if you can see. It says, I don't know if you could see it. When now is the care you want. When now is the care you want. Did I get that? Well, now. Attachment, the stories, the beliefs keep us from experiencing eternal life, eternity, your true self. Because this is it. This is it. There is no other eternity. This is it. There is no other eternity in some alternate dimension. If there's alternate dimensions that we could go into, if there's other worlds that we could go into, wormholes and other galaxies, it's all still going to happen in this eternal now moment. So there's the sign. This is a better one. Right now, right there. Well, now. When now is the care you want. You see, even wanting the now, So people on the spiritual journey, they could be craving the now, wanting to know the now, wanting to know their truth. And that's a perfect first step. But you could also become attached to wanting to be present. You could be attached to wanting presence. So that attachment, that belief that it isn't right here, is sort of a story. It's another story. It's sort of Santa Claus, right? And so you're sort of like a kid who is so attached to their presence or to the idea of Santa Claus that you're never going to get the present. You're never going to get enlightenment. You're never going to get knowing truth because of your attachment. So you're going to get one of the dark horrific children's story of the kid who wakes up on Christmas morning and there's no Christmas tree or Christmas presents there because they're still attached to it. They're so attached to it that you're pushing it away, even though it's right here. That's why, if you think about it, it's like it's almost cool that you fall asleep. You need to fall asleep, like the kids who try to stay up all night, you know. Don't get. They have to fall asleep. They have to surrender in order to see the Christmas presents. To wake up. There you go. There's things. So being children, I'm just riffing here. You fall asleep, you're asleep. We're all asleep. And then you give up attachment. And then you awaken. And the presents are there. The presence of eternal life, of knowledge and knowing of your eternal truth. And then it becomes sweet. See, ain't she sweet? Ain't she sweet? Ain't she sweet? And then the sirens come off, announcing. The sirens are like the horns, the angel horns, right? In the Christian myth of the trumpets blowing, for Christ is born, the Christ in you, right? The eternal Christ is a metaphor for your true being, your true eternal self is born, right? That day is a realization. Christ being born, maybe I'll do one towards Christmas, do a more, because this just came to me. Christ being born is a metaphor for having a satori, right? Having an awakening to your true eternal self. Because everyone has a Christ in us. Everyone is a Christ. It's just knowing. It's just and achieving that knowing, one of the biggies is giving up attachment, right? Giving up attachment. You could be attached to a lot of I shouldn'ts. I shouldn't be here. This shouldn't be happening. And I played that game a lot. I shouldn't have been born. I had, over the last 6 months or 7 months or so, I've had 2 parents. My mom and dad passed away. And, and I grew up in you know, like many out there, but, you know, a dysfunctional family. You know, they tried their best. But there were many times where I was like, what the fuck? Why am I in this family? You know, why did this happen? And after a lot of healing, after a lot of acceptance, and becoming non-attached, acceptance, radical acceptance of the now and just everything is also a key to giving, a key to accepting things. So you're like, oh, I accept it. I accept that. You know, I grew up with this family, and there's a lot of beauty and wonderful stuff with it, and there weren't. You know, but now it's beautiful. You know, now it's almost like the psychic pain and suffering of things that happen to us are gone. Yeah. See? And there's almost like the bells are perfect. It's a harmony. See, there's bells right here. Can you see those there in the tree? There's these beautiful bells up here, and there's like this. It's like this this harmony. See these bells? It's the heart growing up now and being in this family. That family feels like past lives almost already. There's a harmony to it, right? Now, when you're going through it and you're living in egoic consciousness, there's no harmony. It's discord. It's very painful. And when you're facing those shadows and healing those parts, it's very painful. But it's a necessary thing to do to heal. And then when after a while you see the harmony of life, right? And you become the harmony of life. You become harmonious with life. See? And then everything, I don't know, Yeah, so why is that strange man videotaping our bells in the tree? Call the police. Right? There's a strange man. Oh God, I love it. Yeah, it's harmony. He's upsetting my harmony in my house. I want everything orderly. You see, that's it, right? So, one of the things that you can do is to write down or jot or make mental notes of how many times you feel or you catch yourself being attached to something out of harmony with it. And being harmonious with life doesn't necessarily mean that shit doesn't happen, right? I think there's this misunderstanding in spiritual communities that, oh, the flow is always, and you know, I used to drink that Kool-Aid. The flow is always everything's going my way, right? Everything is going my way. I'm getting the tickets, or I'm getting the good seats. I'm getting the right person showing up. I'm getting the money and everything. And yes, that's nice, and that's just a part of the yin and yang, the duality of life. But there's also a harmony with the quote unquote bad things, the uncomfortable things, And when things do happen that don't go your way, on a egoic level, or on a just on a world of form level, you might think, oh, I'm not in harmony. I'm not. No, you are, because it's happening, right? It's happening. It's like, look at the trees. Look at these trees. They're acceptance. They're going through a natural course. Before, I did videos starting in the spring of the budding of the trees, and now they've been turning colors, and now they're falling off. So there's this harmony, and aging is one of them. We're all getting older. I'm getting older. It's like, some people fight getting older, but so you're resisting, you're not accepting, you're attached. Okay? But there's a harmony. See? So use nature. It's like, now it's time. Imagine now it's time to fall off the tree, turn colors and fall off the tree. Imagine if these leaves were like, I'm not gonna turn green. No, I'm green. I'm not gonna turn yellow or red or orange and fall off and go here. I don't want to do that. I don't want to. And that's where the suffering is, right? See, all these leaves are beautiful. They're not suffering. They did their thing, and they're still doing their thing, right? Right, dog? So being attached. So give up attachment and see what happens. Yeah, write down all the times that you could find yourself being attached, and this is a process, and this could take a long time, years and years. I still feel myself being attached to certain things. I'm like, oh, there it is. I'm still attached to that, you know. So yeah, harmony. So there's a great harmony going on, and I think, and another thing that popped up is that I kind of was talking about this a little before, is that things are harmonious, and yet the mind thinks that things should be, that once you surrender, once you accept, once you give up attachment, that things are suddenly going to go this way or that way. But no, it's just gonna go. It's gonna go. It's gonna go the way it is, right? Lifeline. There's a lifeline. Yeah, so. But inwardly, you'll know that you're growing spiritually, that you're evolving, is because you are you're not triggered, because you're accepting, you're not attached, you know. You're not attached. So things can come and go, and wonderful and beautiful things will happen, and other things that on the surface might not look beautiful or wonderful, and yet it's all in harmony, right? It's all harmonious. And then you abide in the peace that, what's the saying? The peace that is beyond understanding, or something like that, or yeah, because it's a peace that the egoic mind can't understand. See, the egoic mind could have peace briefly for a limited period of time. So there's a peace that can be understood, right? You know, say you have all this money, or got all this money, and you know, you bought this nice house in this peaceful neighborhood, blah blah blah. But you know, soon things will start happening, and you know, the IRS will call, or you know, your house is built on a poor foundation, and there's termites, and you know, so you know, just life will just go, will disrupt that egoic peace, right? But behind it, your truth, it's always peaceful, it's always silent, it's always stillness, you know. It's always at one. Yeah. always at one. See, there's a turkey. Thanksgiving's coming up. Thank you, first responders. Yeah, thank you. Attitude to gratitude. Yeah. Thank you, first responders. You know, that's obviously about the pandemic and so forth. You know, there's a lot of, there's peace, there's harmony that happened with this pandemic. Okay, there's a reason, there's a deeper, higher reason for all of this to have happened. Okay, and you accept it. Now, it's not saying that there isn't things to do, or, you know, if you feel called to do blah, 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 but come from an unattached, non-attached acceptance place, right? And then you'll be moved to do something, or you won't, you know? That's part of the harmony too. Yeah. All right. I don't know why I'm whispering now. For some reason, I just started whispering. So, thank you for watching this. And non-attachment. So, and then you know, they talk about the rock, your foundation, right? I think Jesus, you know, talks about the rock. Here's a big rock. Your as you practice being unattached and having all these growing spiritually with presence, it becomes stronger like a rock. Your presence becomes, even though it's silence and still, this is just a metaphor, but it becomes stronger. All right? Okay. Love you, and until we meet again next time in the beautiful, non-attached presence of the now.